This is Tyler Lewis here with Phenon Hoops. We're honored today to have the athletic director and head coach at Lake Norman Christian, Coach Padgett, with us. Thanks for being on here, Coach.
Tyler, thank you so much. It's an honor to speak with you today. I just can't wait to talk with you a little bit and learn more about you and talk all about my program at Lake Norman Christian.
Sounds good. Well, we're excited for you to have you today, and we're excited to have you this weekend. So recently, you've been on staffs at Cannon School, Hickory, Catawba College. How long have you been in coaching?
Yeah, so, I think me and you are probably the same age. When you were going to Oak Hill and NC State, I just started coaching. I wasn't a very good player like you. So I decided to get a little AAU team. In 2011, I was 18 years old. I got a little AAU team with players like Cody Klein, and we even got to use Wendell Moore a few times back in the day when he wasn't playing with his top team. So I had some high caliber guys. But I was 18 years old, so I'll be 28 in February this year. So about 10 years of coaching. I had a little AAU travel team, and then I helped Jim Baker at Catawba College for 3 years. Then I moved on to Hickory High for 3, and then I was lucky enough to be at Cannon for 1 with Jaden Bradley. So it's just been a blessing, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great coaching experience, a lot of great traditions and standards that really have helped me grow as a coach.
That's awesome. I mean, you've been around so many great players already in your coaching career. And now you come to Lake Norman Christian, where your team is absolutely loaded with a lot of talent. How has that been in your first year at Lake Norman, coaching so much talent?
It's truly been a blessing and an honor, right? Like I tell people all the time, some coaches never get to coach kids of this caliber in their entire 30-year coaching career. But with the location in North Carolina, and just the area that we're surrounded in, there's a lot of talent. So I've just been blessed to coach these guys, and very excited to where this season may go.
And you have so much talent and you have such a good team. What are some of the easiest parts that you deal with as being a coach with this much talent? And then what are some of the difficulties that you have with with that talent?
Absolutely, that's a great question. I tell people all the time, the easiest thing is I don't have to I don't have to teach them how to dribble. I don't have to teach them how to shoot. I don't have to teach them how to pass. They got all the skills that you teach at basketball camp every single day, right? They got all that stuff. The biggest thing with guys like this is the buy-in factor. So most guys at this level have been the best players on their team every year. They've averaged 20 or 25 points. They've taken the most shots. They've played the most minutes. But now you got to come to a place where, hey, maybe I have to sacrifice some shots and pass it to a teammate. Maybe I don't score the most points every night and my name ain't in the paper as the number one scorer. Maybe I'm not the only guy getting highlight videos. So there's some sacrifices, and that's a buy-in, and getting those guys to buy in. It's also ego. Guys have big egos that they got to where they're at because they know they're a big dog, and unfortunately, when you get here, sometimes you can just kind of be a normal, not a normal basketball player, but just you're just average with us, and you've been the guy on your team, so you got to buy in and sacrifice some things that you're not used to. So that's the biggest thing, is the challenge is to getting everybody to buy in and sacrifice that ego factor.
And I think that will help the kids because you have so many Division I players. It will help them once they get to college as well, because that's the one thing that a lot of kids, once they get to college, they go from being the best player on their high school team to being a role player on their college team. And honestly, I think it will help them out because they're already stuck in that situation right now with you, where they're not so-called maybe the best player, but they're stuck on a great team. And every team has, you got to have 5 players out there on the court at once. Not one person's going to beat you, and I think that's really going to help them out. You have so-called probably the most famous player in high school basketball right now, Mikey Williams, such an amazing player. What is it like coaching him?
Yeah, I get that question almost every single day. Um, Man, Mikey's a wonderful kid, a sweet young man, um, fun to get along with, fun to hang out with. Coaching him, coaching him has been a great experience for me. He's a high caliber, high level player. He helps us raise our game every single day in practice. He helps raise our game when the ball is tipped off. He plays as hard as he can. A lot of people call him a dog. So really, it's really been a blessing for me. It's made me better to push him. I think it's made him better. I've really enjoyed the experience, and it's me and him. Our relationship is getting stronger every day, and so that's helping our team grow as well.
No, that's awesome. And when you have such an amazing player like Mikey, I think your other players get lost in the mix, but you have so many great players on that team. Could you kind of give me a rundown and, hey, like this kid's really special as well?
Yeah, I think Mikey has definitely made our entire team better, right? Like JP Haggerty was the guy at his team, and he's still a big contributor to us because people like Trey Green and Mikey can get him the ball. He's a sniper shooter. Jonathan Curtis was at a school, and now he's got people who can really get him the ball on the inside. And so, one of the things for Mikey is he's never played with a 7-footer in high school. And so having a 7-footer in there blocking shots and dunking it for you makes a huge difference. Trey Green is probably one of the most slept on kids in the state of North Carolina. He's a top 10 kid in the country, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But he's phenomenal. Him and Mikey Williams has got to be the best backcourt in the state of North Carolina. And then, people don't think this, but Shane Fernald is our glue guy. He's our warrior. He's our tough guy. Same for AJ Allensback, our Army commit. He's an Army guy. He's going to go to war with you every day. He's going to be on your team. Those are two guys you got to have on successful basketball teams. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't got guys to set screens and rebound and block shots and dive on the floor, you're just not going to be as successful as you want to be.
And those are the players right there that just make you win games and make you successful and help you reach your goals.
That's right. Like when the game is tied with 2 minutes left and you need to stop and rebound, those guys are going to get it for you and not ask questions and not worry about their stats in the newspaper. And then Joyful Hawkins, I ain't got to him. Phenomenal young man. Can dunk it any way you want it. Can block shots, come out of nowhere, runs to the rim hard. And so he's really helped us. He's phenomenal as well. So, and those are our guys that are really going to help us be successful.
That's awesome. And I know each player is going to have to play their roles, and each person has their own individual goals set out for them too this year. But from your standpoint, what is your goals for this year's team?
Yeah, we really just want to take it one day at a time. A lot of teams in the state going for state championships. In all honesty, we are doing everything we can to go to Geico this year. We feel like we've got a team strong enough to go to Geico. Obviously, you've been there, Tyler. It's once in a lifetime opportunity, and so that is our biggest goal. But that's when you in life you got a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. We're not going to get to that plan tomorrow, right? So we got to do the little things. We got to take one day at a time. We got to worry about every possession in the game beforehand, so we can win enough games to give ourselves a chance. And that's all we're asking for, is a chance to go to Geico. So at the end of the day, our biggest goal is Geico. But right now, we're just worried about the Burlington school coming up for Saturday.
Sounds good. Take it one game at a time, Coach, and everything else will happen. You kind of brought up you talked about 5 years, 10 years. Where do you see Lake Norman Christian in 5 years?
Yeah, people, that's a good one. My headmaster, I took this job 14 months ago. He told me, I really would like you to stay for at least 5 years. It's a school that hasn't had a great foundation of athletics or basketball. And he asked me, I gave him my word, as long as he was, wanted to be successful in athletics, I would stay. And so I really see myself staying here for a long time. Now, obviously things can change if Roy Williams or Mike Shesky calls me tomorrow. things could change, but which, I'm just being silly, but I want to see Lake Norman Christian grow. I want to be here for the next 10 to 20 years. I am from Charlotte. I want to be successful here and grow something. Freddie Johnson has done an amazing job as AD and basketball coach at Greensboro Day School. I just admire him. I think he does a phenomenal job, and I would like to make Lake Norman Christian maybe not as big as Greensboro Day one day, but have that tradition of a very successful basketball program and athletic department year after year after year.
Yeah, I think we can both agree that Freddie's the best high school coach in North Carolina history. So I think we both agree on that. He does such a wonderful job running his program. Greensboro Day, year in, year out, always has one of the best teams in the state. So he does a tremendous job. Obviously, you have a great team this year, and you've coached some really good players. What is the best team that you've ever coached?
That's good. That's a good one. I think my first year at Hickory High School, we were 29-3. We lost in the Final Four, and we lost at Wake Forest. We played in their arena, and we lost to a guy by the name of LeVar Batts. I'm sure you know that name from J.M. Robinson. Coach Batts and them are a good friend of mine, but they beat us and they wasn't supposed to, and they upset us and we ended up losing. But we were 29-3 that year, and that was probably probably one of the best teams. We had Division I point guard, we had a Division I wing, and we had a pretty good inside post. But I have been around so many high level AAU programs, and that's hard to pick. That might just be one of my favorite teams I had been around with Andy Poplin, but definitely been around some successful programs for sure.
For sure. And I know we talked about the success. What's been one of the most magical moments that you've had as a coach?
Magical moments as a coach. Last year was my first head coaching job, and I really, when you're a first year coach, you just kind of got to learn. Even though you've done everything as an assistant, you think you know everything, and you really just get thrown in there. And so for me, last year was just fun. Like, it was just a magical moment as a whole. We won our division state championship. It's called the Carolina State Athletic Association from last year. We won the state championship, and so for me, that was a huge magical moment, right? Being a first-year coach, winning the state title, even though it wasn't the NCISAA or the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, it was still a state title, and so that was very magical for me, is to get that done as your first year, going 31-2, and just having success early on. I think that's been magical for me.
No, that's awesome. Big accomplishment for sure. And my next question is, if you could have one do-over moment as a coach, what would that be?
One do-over moment. Yep. So my year at Cannon, I was an assistant coach, but I also helped the middle school and JV teams. And I think growing up as a coach and looking back, I was so passionate and so fiery. And I think early on, I just had too much juice and too much energy, and I overcoached. And so if I could go back and do it over again, I would take a deep breath as a coach and just coach my guys and coach my players and not have too much intensity. Because, obviously, Tyler, as a coach, if you're too emotional and too fired up and bad body language, that can roll over into your team. And so now I know you got to stay calm. You got to have a little fire and a little passion to motivate your guys, but don't go overboard with it, because it just hurts your team in the end.
For sure. And you talk about passion and some other stuff, and I just want to get into it. What is your why? Why do you coach? What makes you so important to the game of basketball and to your players?
Yeah, it's about relationships and helping these young men and caring about these kids. That is my why. I've done some other things in life. I tried to sell insurance and do some other things, but it just didn't give me that. It just didn't give me that feeling that it does when you help kids. Like me and you, we didn't get to have this conversation at 9 o'clock this morning because I had to run and go get a kid. But I had to make sure he got to school. So you gotta do it for the kids. You gotta help these young men. It's not about the dunks and all the highlights and all the points. It's about making sure they get degrees and go on to college and have a brighter future. And that's what Coach Padgett and Lake Norman Christian is all about for sure.
As much as we both love wins and don't like losses at all, it's really truly your biggest wins is caring about the kids and being able to make an impact in their lives. Being in college coaching for the past 3 years, I mean, I can tell you about some games, but I can tell you more about the relationships that I've had with kids, and even playing the game of basketball and just relationships that you build means so much more than wins and losses. So, I mean, that speaks highly of you that, I mean, going to get kids and, just making sure they're on time, doing the right thing. And I mean, the basketball part will take care of itself.
That's exactly right. And like, I'll add this too, like you don't, like you said, you don't always remember the wins, but you do remember the bus trips and the music. You're singing songs and eating pizza with the team and maybe talking to them in the hotel rooms. And so all that, you'll remember all that good stuff, but you don't always remember the wins and losses. So it's good to have those relationships, and that's what it's truly all about.
You're right. And I know you love relationships and you love coaching your team, but when did you really first fall in love with the game of basketball?
Yeah, I was one of those kids that wasn't very good at soccer, wasn't very good at baseball, and I just started dribbling it at 5 or 6. And then my parents put me in basketball camp, and I dribbled that thing. And I remember going to bed with a basketball in my hand, right, or sitting on the floor watching TV, dribbling around my waist on the floor. So I think it was just my first love of athletics and sports. And to be honest, I wasn't very good at much anything else. I would strike out in baseball, and so I did run cross country at Catawba College. I got a little scholarship to go there and run, so I did run a little bit. But basketball was my first love. I remember running cross country at 6 a.m., 6 to 8 at Catawba, and then going to class and then helping with basketball practice, right? Like I was like a student assistant type. So I didn't care to run much, but man, I just loved the game of basketball. And so I just remember playing at an early age. And I kind of said this earlier, I wasn't good as you. I sit on the bench a lot. And so I would listen to my coaches talk. And I started to learn how to coach because I wasn't very good sitting on the bench. So I think that's where I learned to coach, is just soaking in all that information.
And you talk about your time at Catawba College, obviously running there. What does Catawba mean to you?
Catawba means everything. I had 4 wonderful years there. Jim Baker is like a father to me. I learned so much from him. He had a great tradition and a great culture. And I go to a bunch of the football games every year. I'm an alumni who really cares about Catawba. I want to see Catawba grow. I'll have so many memories there that I'll never forget. So many lifelong friends. I got an assistant coach who went to Catawba for a little while. So, that stuff really matters. Catawba really matters to me. You go to a big school, and I know a lot of people do. I just don't think it has the same feel as a small school environment. And, the people that you meet at a small school, you really just have lifelong relationships. So it means a lot to me.
Catawba's lucky to have an alum like you for sure. And you're right, because even at a school like Lake Norman Christian, it's not the biggest school, but you keep going back to relationships and the relationships you're able to build and have. So last week, I know y'all played Oak Hill on national television, ESPN2, I'm pretty sure. How was that experience playing on national television?
And that's really cool. Like you have to enjoy every moment of that. You have to keep in perspective that I'm the only school in North Carolina that will get to play on ESPN this year. And so you really have to enjoy it. We got to do it in Phoenix. We played Minnehaha with Chet, and then we got to go to Oak Hill. And you want to win so bad. We talked about it. You always want to win. But, you walk in that gym at Oak Hill, obviously, Tyler, you played there, and it's just it's awesome, right? You see all those banners and all those jerseys, and give a lot of respect to Steve Smith. What a great guy. And then you got these television cameras, and ESPN does a great job. They really took care of us. But it is the coolest experience that you'll ever have. And obviously you've played a lot of games on TV, and then you get to go back and watch them with your friends and your family. And I was eating at a restaurant like 3 days ago, and the game was on. Like they replayed it on ESPNU. And so I'm like telling all the people in the restaurant that was me. And so it's a really cool experience. If anybody ever gets to do it, they got to take the chance and take the opportunity, because for a high school coach, not a lot of coaches get to do that. So that was one of the fondest memories I'll ever have in my life, for sure.
No, that's awesome. And it's kind of special. I mean, you talked about Oak Hill a little bit, but that's the first game ever filmed at Oak Hill, I'm pretty sure. So, and to be a part of that had to be something truly special. I mean, that gym's not big at all, as people see. I mean, I think people made fun of it a little bit on national television, but it's a special place. And I'm glad that you guys were able to play them. And obviously, like you said, it was just a unique experience and a moment you'll have forever. And I kind of use the word unique right there. What makes this year so unique with your first year, you're dealing with COVID, you're dealing with other, like the white noise, like dealing with other outside stuff. What makes this year so unique?
Yeah, I think it's just, we went from like ranked 125th in the state of North Carolina, and now we're in the top 3, right? So we just got really good, really quick. And so we're just really enjoying that. I think what makes this year the most unique is just, you got to take one day at a time, right? Like you don't know if COVID's going to cancel the season or what. So you just got to enjoy it and go along with it and just make the most of it until they say, hey, let's play for a national championship or a state title, or they say, hey, it's over. So you just got to take one day at a time and enjoy it. This year has been a blessing for us with the kids that we have, and we're just going to keep it rolling and keep doing our thing.
I love it. If someone walked into the gym for the first time to see your team practice or play, what are they going to see from your team, from a Coach Padgett coach team?
Yeah, what are they going to see? First of all, they're obviously going to see a ton of talent, right? Like, man, those guys can really play. There ain't no doubt. And then they're going to see, when they see our team, they're going to see structure. They're going to see discipline. They're going to see balled in. They're going to see effort every day. Those are the things that that would be my quote unquote philosophy. And those are the things that I hope when a Tyler Lewis or a Colby Lewis or somebody walks in my gym, I hope those are the things they see.
I love it. And how would you describe your coaching style?
Coaching style, we talked about it earlier, fiery, passionate. A lot of people say players coach. I don't know if I am or not. I do my absolute best to build a relationship with my guys. And I just really want my guys to buy in and try to, just try to get it done.
Sounds good. That's awesome. And I can see that from you and your players. Just like you said, it all goes back to relationships, and you do a great job at it. My last question to you right now is, what is your motto, your mission statement for each of your teams that makes you so successful?
Our mission statement this year is just about trust, right? And so we've been using that word a lot, and trust and discipline, right? We got together so late, like most teams, even though with COVID have known their rosters. And for us, like we haven't known each other for a long time. So we just got to trust each other. And trust is kind of the word we're going to use all year, to trust your teammate, trust to make the other extra pass. Trust that when we're not on the court and he's in the classroom, trust that he's going to do what he needs to do to make sure we can all be on the court at the same time. So our mission statement this year is just trust one another and buy into what we're selling, because obviously we got a very talented team and we can go as far as we want to go, but we got to trust each other so we can do what we're trying to take care of.
And I definitely see that from the outside looking in, just how much talent you have and how they're able to play together, how they're buying in, how they're trusting one another, trusting you as a coach, and just believing in you. And I'm excited to keep seeing y'all grow this year. And I appreciate you coming on this here this morning, Coach. Thanks for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend. I'm excited, and obviously, good luck to you guys.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to see you and your father and Colby, and you guys do a great job. And man, I just Ryan Bernardi's a good friend of mine, and we want to play each other. And what a great stage we will have to do that. Win or lose, me and Ryan are going to be friends, but I'm hoping to kick his butt. The Burlington School are great. I love Kay. I love Jamari. I have great relationships with those guys, and Ryan Roberts and Matt Handy. I know those guys well. So I'm excited to see all of them and play them. And just want to thank you guys for having us, and also thank you for having me. Been a great thing this morning, and excited to see you this weekend.
Sounds good. Thanks, Coach.